Hello beautiful people, I'm Jennifer Kenny. Today we're here to talk about how to show you have leadership skills. This one's a really interesting one because I think demonstrating your leadership skills is something really critical, particularly for people who are just starting in a leadership role. I want to show you how to show that you have leadership skills through your actions and not just through your title. What does it mean to actually participate in inventing the future of a company? How can your actions and your language signify your leadership capacity? And what do your speech acts and your commitment structures reveal about your leadership capacity? And how can you model innovation, which is an absolutely key leadership skill, by making and keeping promises? By the end of this video, I want you to be able to have a good understanding of what your leadership looks like for you and how to be able to show it through the value that you add to your organization. Lots of organizations talk about accountability and how important accountability is. And I always think of accountability as something that other people want you to do. And as leaders, we're not really great at what other people want you to do because we're the ones who want to be calling the shots and saying how things should be. And I think if we respect that and honor that and are humble about it, what we can begin to see for ourselves is that responsibility is a much more useful stance for us to take. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to be accountable, but if you're not responsible in the first place, it's really hard to be accountable. So if part of leadership is really taking on responsibility and being a responsible adult, then what it means is that you need to be able to understand, or as I think about it, is get your arms around a particular issue, project, topic, program, group of people that you're trying to lead and really understand what matters to them and what it is that they're trying to make happen. Many of us think about leadership as telling other people what to do. I think that you will find it much more useful if you start thinking about leadership as a practice, as a human practice, as a practice that you yourself are going to do. Once you start contributing in a leadership role in any organization, you're part of inventing the future of that organization. You're responsible for the future success of the organization, and you're responsible for the future success of your own people. As you start thinking about your leadership and you start looking at what your responsibilities are and what has been asked of you, so you will have OKRs or KPIs and you'll have goals of some description. And those goals are your responsibility. Now the deal is, do you treat them as to-do lists and tasks and boring stuff that needs to be completed, or do you act like a leader and you actually treat them like value that's being added for an internal or external customer within your company? There's a big shift between those two. If you're a manager, what you will do is you will manage the goals and manage the KPIs and manage the OKRs and manage the tasks. If you're a leader, what you will do is you will look to understand them. You will look to understand the context in which you are being asked to do this work. You will understand your responsibility in this work and what it means for you and your team to deliver on this. And that is when you move into responsibility versus simply managing tasks. As a responsible leader, now what you're going to do is you're going to treat these as if they are yours. And ideally, you're making them yours and you care about them enough that they are yours to begin with. As you start thinking about them, think about who is the customer for whatever it is that you're doing inside the organization. So you could have been asked as a leader to head up a particular project. Who's a customer for that project? How is that customer going to know when they're satisfied? How is the organization going to know when those results are delivered successfully? Somewhere in your organization, there is a customer for that project who is able to speak to the reason why that project exists. If you're managing the project, you'll manage the project and you won't even necessarily think about who the customer is. If you're leading the project, you're looking to produce success and value for that customer, be they internal or external. If they're an internal customer, you're in a great position because you can actually go and have a conversation with them. I've been asked to lead this project. I understand that this was your baby in the beginning. You were the person who was behind the inception of this project. I'd love to get 15 minutes of your time to really talk to you about what it was you envisaged, why you thought this project was important, how this project is going to be successful, what would it mean for you to be delighted with the outcomes of this project. As you show that you have leadership skills look for context. They look for meaning, they look to make sense of things, and they look to add value. If you're doing all of those things by identifying who you're adding value for and having conversations with them, you're going to very quickly get noticed as someone who is highly aware of the leadership within your organization, the more senior leadership within your organization, and the value that you can bring to them. I was having a conversation with a leader in an organization this week who's in this process of doing exactly this work herself right now. And she's moving from a management role into a leadership role. And she is looking to move away from just the management of tasks, which, you know, we're all going to die with the task list, so it never really goes away. But there's the management of tasks, to actually beginning to think of herself like a leader. And her homework was go and identify who is the customer for the project you are being asked to do, because she did not know who it was. Important thing in here is I mostly try not to do work unless I have a customer for it. And at one point I actually coached someone to stop doing whatever it was that they were doing until the customer showed up. And once the customer showed up, who'd probably be irate at this point, then they would know who they were. I don't always recommend that approach, but certainly identifying who your customer is and who are you looking to delight with whatever work that it is that you are doing. As you're designing and making offers that allow you to be able to take responsibility and ownership for large chunks of work, the other super important thing to look at is how are you measuring the success? Now, as you have conversations with customers, both internal and external, make sure that you're also bringing up the metrics. As a new leader, what I've noticed a lot of new leaders do is they bring their management skills and they start managing, but they're now in a leadership role. And what they fail to do, as we said a minute ago, is a context, but they also fail to really track the value. So they're not necessarily looking at the metrics associated with the work or the project or the role or the department. What they do is they work within the metrics that are already handed to them. If you're getting your arms around something, be it a department, a team, a project, or a program, and you are looking to understand how that program adds value, you're invariably going to end up changing or refining a little bit how you think about how that value gets contributed or delivered. Don't necessarily look at the metrics as something that is cast in stone. Look at them, some of them are. Look at them, obviously the financial ones need to be, but look at them as something that you could refine a little bit to help you really see it as your own and begin to be able to report on those metrics that you are incredibly proud to have impacted. There are many situations in which people have the title of leader and really what it is that they are doing is they are managing. Taking the lead involves an enormous amount of risk. Taking the lead involves you actually being really courageous. Taking the lead involves you seeing and understanding what practices you want to build and develop over time. As you start doing that, and as you start thinking about how you can show your leadership skills, make sure that you're also building an inventory of the leadership skills that you would be proud to own, that you really want to develop for yourself. And as you build a bigger understanding of what's going on inside your organization, and you see opportunities to make offers and step into leadership roles, and you see opportunities to be able to build trust-based relationships with customers, what you'll also start seeing is the types of practices you want to build for yourself. I have done another video on this, which is called How to Effectively Use Both Management and Leadership Skills. So it's another part of this discussion. I strongly recommend that you have a look at that. As you build out your own leadership skills, I wish you the very best of luck. The world needs more great leaders, and I'm here to support you. Take care.